I think he's.
Yeah. Broadcast is live. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Philly!
Hello, everybody. Hello, Philadelphia. Welcome back once again to yet another edition of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. As always, my name is Ryan Conway, joined here by my co-host, Sam Glavin. Sam, we got some big news right now. We're coming to people live with the courtesy of the Liberty Line Podcast Network here on Twitch and Periscope. This is so exciting. How are you feeling about it? Are you jazzed?
Oh, I couldn't be more jazzed, man. I mean, we reached out to the Liberty Line a couple weeks ago, and we were grateful. We were lucky enough to get Drew Smith to get us back, and we joined the crew a couple days ago. We've already put out a couple articles ourselves, and now we're doing our first live show here. We're gonna talk some Philly sports, man.
Absolutely. Do you want to do just a little intro, just so people who are fans of the Liberty Line but not listeners of us, just to get to know who we are a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. My name's Sam Glavin. I'm a current college student at Dickinson College. I play baseball there, and we've been doing this podcast for about 2 years, almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years over the summer, and yeah, I'm excited to get going. We just, like I said before, we started writing a little bit for the Liberty Line and stuff, so I'm excited, man.
Absolutely. Of course, my name is Ryan Conway, one of the two co-hosts of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. Very excited to be here with the Liberty Line. I just graduated from Colby College last year. It's been almost a year. Just living in Philly, loving life. I am a self-proclaimed 5 for 5 Philly sports fan because you got to show love to the Union. That's a quality squad. And I'm also a former Brett Brown apologist. I have, changed my ways, but that is something that I just think I had to get out into the open so everybody knows just how wrong I was at one point and how I'm willing to change and be better in the future. So, Sam, speaking of the Sixers,
yeah,
what a start to the season it's been. Doc Rivers winning Coach of the Month. Joel Embiid remaining on an absolute tear. How are you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
What's sticking out to you with the Sixers?
I mean, it's hard not to talk about Joel Embiid right off the bat. I mean, we're sitting here and we're talking about the Sixers, right? And Joel Embiid has clearly been the best player. He's been the best player in the league, in my opinion. There's nobody more dominant in the league right now in the paint, doing what he does as a center, shooting the outside shot. Just doing what he does, just at another level this year. So it's absolutely unbelievable. And I know we were talking about it a little bit with the Liberty Line guys last night. If there isn't another argument for Joel Embiid to be MVP than it is like when he's not in the game and they look like absolute dog shit. He's the MVP. Like he has to be the MVP of the season so far. I can see the argument for Nikola Jokic and whatnot, but Joel Embiid is my MVP so far this season.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Joel Embiid has just simply right now, if the season ends today, has to be MVP. I mean, we were able to pull out a ridiculous 20-point comeback in the fourth quarter against the Pacers last night. But before that, people were a little apoplectic on Twitter looking at how the Sixers were really just nothing without Joel Embiid. That was our first win without him all season. The season's been, 4 or 5 weeks long now at this point?
Yeah.
One win without Joel Embiid. He has been playing more than usual than, seasons past, which is nice because we love availability. He played the second night of a back-to-back, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But that game against the Pacers, the Pistons game and the Pacers game actually both showed some weaknesses in the squad when he's off the court.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even see it in the games where he's just sitting on the bench after he just had like a dominant 7 minutes. You can see we're up 15 against the Lakers, and then it gets whittled down to down 3. That's just what happens. That's how good and dominant Joel Embiid is. It's really not. It's not fair.
Yeah, that Lakers game was a little reminiscent of a Brett Brown era type game, to be honest. I mean, you called yourself the Brett Brown apologist at the beginning. I had to throw that one in there, just something that I noticed. But I think that Doc Rivers, as long as we're talking about coaches, Doc Rivers, obviously being named Coach of the Month this month, has just been absolutely phenomenal. Making the adjustments where they need to be made, switching to that zone in the last game against the Pacers, literally won them the game. It won them the game. And we saw the clips of Matisse Thybulle literally being just doing what he does best, playing defense in that zone. I mean, he thrives in the zone. It was absolutely phenomenal to see that kind of coaching decision turn the game around for the 76ers.
Absolutely. And Matisse was asked about it after the game, and he was just like, Yeah, it must have sucked for the other team, to be honest with you. Because imagine going up against Ben Simmons, one of the top perimeter defenders in the league, and then Matisse Thybulle, who is, say what you will about him on offense. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how good he is on defense. And he won Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year while he was playing in his zone defense. So that was, it put him right in his comfort zone. The pun's been made on Twitter a million times, and I'm sorry, but that's just, I don't know any other words. Maybe it's Q zone. It's still got zone. It doesn't matter. But we were able to pull it out because of Doc making those decisions and getting Ben and Matisse in a comfort zone on defense. And defense, creates offense, especially with the Sixers team. I mean, we're leading the league in fast break points and blocks, and then we're top 5 in steals as well. I mean, this is a serious defensive juggernaut, and I love to see it. I love to see it. And a big part of that, of course, has been Ben Simmons, Sam.
Yeah, you're right about the defensive part as far as Ben Simmons. I don't know how much everybody knows how I feel. Actually, no, not everybody knows how I feel about Ben Simmons. So
educate the people. So I'll educate you afterwards.
I am the resident Ben Simmons hater on the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. I have been for probably close to over a year now.
Just about.
And I know that a lot of the guys on the Liberty line don't have enough sense to agree with me, but that's fine. I educate them on a daily basis. And Ryan, I'm still in the process of educating him on Ben Simmons and why trading him would just make it so much better for the Sixers. I mean, trading him for a Brad Beal type guy, I think it's just a no-brainer. But we don't have to get into that right now. We can talk about Ben Simmons' play if you want. If you want to start it off, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hate you a lot. What you just said and just the way you conduct yourself and act as a human being. It upsets me to a great degree. Drew Smith hates you too. Yeah, as he should, as should most people, because your inability to see the game beyond the stat sheet, Sam, is upsetting to me. Ben Simmons is an elite defender. Elite, and an incredible distributor and facilitator of the ball. I'm not going to out you for saying that Ben Simmons wasn't a facilitator, but I might have.
Oh, but you just did like a couple weeks ago. I made the mistake. Yeah,
I said I wasn't going to. Trust me, I know Sam is the worst. Because I've been dealing with it for about a year and a half now. I've been trying to talk to him about Ben Simmons, and it's difficult because, of course, Ben Simmons is a very divisive player. But you take a look, especially over the last couple weeks. He stepped up. He stepped up big time.
Sure,
I understand 21 points is not like, whoa, a crazy scoring performance, but did we or did we not beat the Pacers without Joel Embiid? Did we not?
Trust me, I understand all that. He is. I will be the first to admit that he stepped up in the last game after the last couple times he was absolutely awful without Joel Embiid on the floor, and he stepped up this time. But I just don't get why we're getting so amped about our number 1 overall draft pick having averaging 13 points a game. Like, I just don't understand that. He's our number 1 overall draft pick. And with the triple doubles and stuff, they're always 10, 10, 10, and that pisses me off to no end. And I just can't. I can't get behind a number 1 overall draft pick who's scoring 13 points a game. Yeah, he's great defensively. Yeah, he's facilitating the ball. But without Joel Embiid on the floor, he's only played well once.
I hate you, Sam. He has played more than fine without Joel Embiid on the floor. I mean, of course, the season as it has progressed, he has improved. And that's what you look for, especially in a season with a shortened off season like that and a shortened preseason. A lot of time to gel with these new guys. And Ben leads the league. At least I don't know if he still does, but at last time I checked, he led the league in 3-point assists. He's out here making the team run. He's out here. If he's not making the actual assist, for a fact he's finding an open guy in the corner that draws a defender, and then that guy can find someone open for a 3 or for a cut to the basket. Ben Simmons is the king. He's not only is he the king of assists, he's the king of the hockey assist. And I think that's something
that's the assist.
It's the hockey assist. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I love ball movement, and Ben Simmons is just epitomizes everything I love about the game of basketball. The jump shooting and everything has, kind of a little bit, I don't want to say ruined the game, but it has changed it. But, for an old school basketball player. Ben Simmons, is great, and he's a ton of fun to watch if you just don't have this deep-seated hatred. I don't know where you get it from. Like, did he snub you for an autograph?
I'm just
you
sick
wish
of
you were as
watching
tall
him
as
go.
him.
Listen.
Like, what's the deal?
I'm plenty tall. Ryan.
I know that, but he's 6'10". Like,
I get all that. Whatever. I am so sick of him driving into the lane, bricking a layup, and then somebody else getting the defensive rebound, and then taking it back. And then the one time that he needs to drive to the lane, he stops on the foul line and kicks it out for somebody to brick a three. It makes no sense to me that, like, sometimes he's aggressive, and then when he's aggressive, he's bricking layups. I'm sick of it. I want somebody who can score the basketball as my point guard and facilitate at the same time. I need both. And the other thing is, it's a good thing that we have the shooters now for him to kick it out to, because if we didn't, it would be like 2 years ago and last year all over again, and it would piss me off even more.
That's why the change had to be made. That's why I love Daryl Morey, because he was like, okay, they've been fucking around for 2 years doing God knows what. Elton last year signed another big man. I mean, that was supposed to be the Monstars. That was the block out the sun lineup, and that failed miserably. We had like maybe one competent 3-point shooter, Furkan, and he was streaky. I don't even know.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. But Daryl Morey comes in and he just goes, "Yeah, I'm just gonna take what you guys have been doing. I'm just gonna fucking fix it. Like in like a week. I'm just gonna get rid of Al Horford. I'm just gonna get rid of Josh Richardson." That was a bust. That was a bust too.
Yeah,
and
that sucked.
Like, let me bring in some real shooters. Let me bring in the better Curry. I like the Danny Green signing. And if this will get you off of Ben Simmons, since you are a Sith, you are fed by hate. So we can move on to a different player that you hate in Danny Green, because that's what I'm more inclined to agree with you about, because Danny Green has been streaky, is far too generous in terms of his shooting performances.
I can't stand Danny Green, dude. I don't think he adds any. He's a warm body on the court, right? At this point, I mean, I don't think it's hard to see. I mean, he's out here, and all he does is sit at the corner or at the elbow and move out to the 3-point line and then take a shot and then brick it, and then we're running back on defense. Every once in a while he'll make 3 threes in a row, but that's the extent. That's it.
It's rare.
It's rare. So I'm sick of it. I haven't really paid attention too much to him on defensively. He hasn't stood out to me defensively at all, really. So I guess him adding a veteran presence is what they were going for, and hopefully they could get some threes out of him, but it hasn't really panned out so far. And
absolutely, man.
No, yeah. Well, as far as JJ Redick, I mean, I saw the comments over here. JJ Redick. I mean, I'm not clamoring for him, to be honest. I don't want to give up the farm. I mean, I think giving up Tony Bradley and some other bench warmers would be fine for JJ Redick, because he'll be coming off the bench. It'd be great to have him back. Yeah, I think it'd be great to have him back. JJ Redick is obviously a guy who makes threes, and we could use another guy alongside Seth Curry.
No. I just go no. It's not that I'm in love with Danny Green, obviously, or it's not that it's not that I'm really in love with many of the shooters that we have outside of Seth Curry, but JJ Redick, I just think he's over the hill. He's only hitting I believe it was 26% of his threes this season, as our friend at the Liberty Line, Kevin, told me. So I just don't really want him. I mean, he's a defensive liability. He's 2 years older now than he was when he was here, and he was already slow. I mean, the dude can hit a spot up three, and he's solid, for a playoff contender. But I just think there are better options out there right now.
Sure.
I don't think. I mean, is it nice to have a reunion? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did he live in Brooklyn when he played here? Yeah. Fake Sixer. It doesn't matter.
Maybe he's a little too focused on his own podcast.
Hey, man, I know what that's like, right?
Yeah, what's that like?
I've been there, man.
But I don't know. We've been overly negative about the Sixers for about 10 minutes right now. I think we should talk about what's good. Nah, it's been both of us. Relax.
I don't like Danny Green. You're coming after Ben Simmons like you're a fool. You're a damn fool.
I can't stand Ben Simmons, but I love watching the Sixers now. I think I've only missed watching 1 or 2 games this year, and I don't remember the last time I've ever done that. The ball movement is great when Joel Embiid's on the floor. I mean, they look like a championship team, and I think that they can take the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're the best team in the East right now. And Doc Rivers, to be honest, Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid are the best thing that ever happened to this at this point, are the best thing that ever happened to the city.
Better than
Maybe
a Nick Foles, or are you just talking basketball?
Well, I mean, I'm talking basketball. Yeah.
At least since the start of the process, because I mean, AI was incredible, but since the start of the process, like this is like Doc Rivers is a consummate professional. Joel Embiid is just a different guy now.
Mm-hmm.
He's grown up, he's focused, he's engaged, and he's feasting. He's literally it's like the NBA is an old country buffet, and he rolled up with a 10-gallon Tupperware and was just like, I'm gonna take this.
I think the biggest thing for me with Embiid, and I've said it on our previous episodes before, I think I've said it like in the past 4 episodes, I'm so impressed with his conditioning. He looks he doesn't look tired at all. He's making free throws, and he did everything he needed to do in the offseason, and it's showing up on the court right now. He's literally putting the team on his back, and that's why he needs to rest sometimes, because his back hurts, unquote. And then I guess that's the whole load management thing. But he's been phenomenal, and I think that he's totally matured. You don't see him like clamoring on Twitter all the time now. I mean, like he's locked in. He's locked in right now, and I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, the beauty of Joel Embiid is that nobody can stop him whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And then he just draws so much attention that, you know, he can just kind of kick the ball out to somebody. They move the ball around, and then either there's an open 3 or they've forgotten about Joel and they hit him down low for a bucket. Like, there's really you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't with Joel Embiid. Because if you double team, you got Seth Curry open.
Yeah.
If you don't, then he's gonna cook whoever you have on him. Like there's literally not a single player in the league that can stop Joel Embiid. It's
I totally agree.
It's not physically possible.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I cannot think of anybody off the top of my head right now. I mean, the Celtics have nobody at center right now other than Taco Fall, but he's garbage. I don't think Brooklyn really has. I think DeAndre Jordan is playing for
Brooklyn. The ghost of DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, I think that he maybe is the one like right off the top of my head, but I don't think that he can in his old age right now. That's why I think that they're going to beat the Nets. I'm trying to think of other teams in the East that have big men. I guess maybe Rudy Gobert, but he's not. He's been quiet.
Don't even worry about that, man.
Yeah, we're not even worried about.
I mean, there's Giannis, but Giannis has got no press. He's got no coverage. And as a fantasy owner of Giannis, I was gonna take Luka Doncic with the 2nd overall pick because I thought that Giannis was the consensus number 1. So. I thought, everything was fine and dandy. And then this guy trades up to the 1st pick, jumps in front of me, and takes Luka Doncic on draft night. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what the hell? So now I'm like, all right, do I take Jokic or Giannis? And then I went Giannis, and I should have gone Jokic.
You should have gone Jokic. These are
like mistakes. Mistakes happen, and I'm upset about it. But just, I don't know. Exactly, there's nobody in the East that can match up with Joel Embiid. There's nobody. Is there anybody in the West? You saw Anthony Davis was afraid to guard Embiid.
Yeah, why wouldn't he switch on to him? I didn't understand that in the slightest.
Because Anthony Davis is a baby back bitch, Sam. That's why. That's why. Because he's soft. The way he left New Orleans told me everything I needed to know.
Wow.
Showing up with that's all, folks, on your last day. I'm like, funny, tongue in cheek, but at the same time, you quit on your squad and you're under contract. Like, I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
In any degree.
As long as we're talking about the Lakers, you want to move over to the doghouse?
Yeah, dude, I would love to move right into the doghouse. An original segment here at the Wolves of Broad Street podcast, established July 2019. It's been a long, proud tradition here at the Wolves of Broad Street.
The doghouse.
Brought to you by our gracious sponsor, Wide Plank Floor Supply. Visit their website at www.wideplanksupplies.com. Get a recommendation for a contractor. Get a quote. I mean, you guys got to see these planks. Like, imagine a plank. You know,
Yeah,
think of a plank of wood. It's way wider.
a little bit wider.
Like
Yep.
I don't think it could be wide. I like it. It couldn't be wider if they tried. Then it would just
No.
become a square. Like that would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So www.wideplankfloorsupply.com. Get in there. We're diving into the doghouse. And Sam, I'm just going to go first because I love the sound of my own voice.
Yeah.
I've got LeBron James in the doghouse because he attempted murder on Joel Embiid and walked away with a common foul. I mean, I had a similar incident occur in 6th grade intramural basketball, and I fell down. I broke my elbow. I was out for a couple months. I couldn't play anymore. My season was cut short. So I seeing that happen concerned me. And then seeing LeBron go, I didn't even foul him. I'm like, are you fucking joking? Like, are you being serious? Like, do you ever foul anybody? Or like, what's the deal, LeBron?
I think it's just instinct for him at this point. He's every foul ever, he's complaining. It makes zero sense to me, and it got me fired up during that game. Yeah, he's got hands up in the air. We call that something. We call it a palms up. You fill in the rest.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with for my doghouse. I'm gonna go with the Eskins, Howard and Spike. Howard showed up today with I was watching the press conference for the Phillies, and he showed up with a background of himself with the WIP sticker on the back, but it was of himself, and then it was like the live Howard Eskin, and then I just had the lump Spike Eskin in there because I hate all of his takes pretty much. So Eskins are in the doghouse for me today.
Yeah, I mean I think that's totally fair. I think that's a cheesy play by Howard. I really think that's just like just pretend to be at the beach, like do something basic. Don't go try and be meta and like be like, oh yeah, here I am, and then now I moved, and you still have to look at my face. Like,
well, it's coming from the same guy that calls himself the king. So what do we expect?
You want to know who else calls himself the king? LeBron James. Look at that.
Yeah, that's true. We got both.
The doghouse, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Wide Plank Floor Supply. Visit their website at www.wideplankfloorsupply.com. Get a recommendation for a contractor. Get a quote. Get in their showroom in King of Prussia. Wear a mask. Go in and check out these high-quality wide planks for high-quality prices. And get into your home or office today. I mean, it could not be easier if you tried. I mean, I don't know how to put them in the floor. Sam, you might. But
I do a little bit. Yeah, I do
a little bit, but I don't know how to do it. So check out Wide Plank Floor Supply. They'll hook it up. They'll get it done. Tell them the Wolves sent you. You're not going to get a discount or anything, but just tell them. That'd be cool. If they, they'll probably tell us. All right. Yeah. So Sam, what do we have next on the agenda post Doghouse?
I think we're gonna go a little bit of the Phillies, man. I think we're gonna go with the Phillies.
I'm actually stoked to talk Phillies, but this is not out of disappointment, but celebration.
Yes, there it is. Great. That's a Philly segment tradition here on the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. We haven't done it in a while just because there hasn't really been too much Phillies to talk about. But we have plenty to talk about. I actually I watched the press conference today, the JT Realmuto announcement, and I heard some absolutely amazing things. I mean, I was absolutely impressed with the way JT Realmuto was answering the questions because it was clearly a prolonged process, and it was pretty much his fault. But I'm just so glad that he's back now, and he can pretty much do no wrong in my book. I'm thinking about Dave Dombrowski and how he's an actual competent front office person right now. It's so I cannot tell you how refreshing it is to have a guy who actually can compose himself and actually have a conversation with somebody who's asking him a question. It's
pissed off, Angelo.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. I mean, first we had Gabe Kapler speaking like from another planet, and he's like not a real human. And then Matt Klentak, I can't even stand him. Just his voice pisses me off. But it was so refreshing to have somebody in there who was just, firing back at the questions, giving actual logical answers. I mean, it was everything that you ever wanted to hear out of the Phillies president of baseball operations right now. And I couldn't be happier. He said that they were at the very end of the interview, which kind of took away from the whole JT Realmuto thing. He said, yeah, we have some moves that are pending currently. So there are some free agents that are going to be coming to Philly right now, which is absolutely fantastic. You can read about that at thelibertyline.com. You can also read about the rest of the JT Real Muto press conference in my article on the libertyline.com, which is pretty cool. It's the first time I've ever plugged an article ever, so that's pretty cool.
I hate to interrupt your plug here. Did you say pending moves?
Yes, pending moves, dude.
Pending?
Yeah, dude, they're in the process to get done.
Dude, Dombrowski's teasing. He's teasing us right now.
Yeah, he's like he's like a slower working Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey fixed the team in 48 hours. Dave Dombrowski is just moving along. He's signing the guys that he wants. He's re-signing the guys that we needed in the heart of our lineup, aka JT and Didi Gregorius.
Oh, yes.
Yes, dude. And you can also read about the Didi Gregorius signing on the libertyline.com. And the other signings that we made, Archie Bradley, obviously the big pitcher out of, I think he's coming from the Reds, but he's confirmed Philly guy. He was awesome.
The vibes are immaculate right now.
Yeah, dude. The Twitter, I love when athletes get involved with the fans on Twitter. It's absolutely awesome. But yeah, I mean, they were just slowly making moves to make this team better. He said that Dombrowski said that the priority is still in bringing in arms for the bullpen, maybe even a couple starters. But I cannot be more excited right now for this Phillies team, man. There are some guys I think that, well, you know what? Let me ask you. I've been talking a lot about the Phillies right now. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think on the current Phillies roster, who do you think needs to step up for the season to be successful?
I think for this season to be successful, I mean, obviously there's Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper needs to be Bryce Harper because this roster is still not, or at least as constructed right now, is still borderline playoff. So we need our stars to be stars. Mm-hmm. But if I'm looking for someone that may be lost in the weeds a little bit right now, I'm looking directly in the eyes of Scott Kingery, and I'm saying I need you to sack up and get something done because he's been like the greatest Phillies utility player of all time. He's played, I think he's played everything but pitcher and catcher. Like he's been all over the diamond, and I just want him to find his place. Find, where he fits in. And of course, I want him to be a second baseman, but our middle infield is so good. Our middle infield is so good.
Yeah, that's where he's going to be. That's exactly where he's going to be. I mean, I think second base is obviously his position, and his first year up, I think he played that for like 5 games, and that was it. He was playing center field. He was playing short. He was playing all these other different positions. And last year, he finally gets locked into locks into second base, and he shits the bed. I mean, he was awful. He was awful offensively, and he wasn't even that great defensively. So, I mean, do I think it's because you bought his powder blue jersey? Yes.
It's exactly because of that.
Yeah. I totally agree. And then I think that another guy who definitely needs to step up, and I agree with the comments right now, is Rhys Hoskins. And I think the reason last year that he was average is because I have his jersey hanging in my closet right now. So I'm done buying players' jerseys. But in all seriousness, I do think Rhys Hoskins needs to step up this year with the stick. Obviously, we don't really care what he does at first base. I think he's got to figure it out with the stick. We thought last year with his new stance that he was gonna take off. Not so much.
Yeah, that stance changed everything, man.
Yeah, not so much.
That stance fucking Phillies to the moon, bro. Like that was
Phillies to the moon.
Fire.
I think now that we've signed back, I mean, we signed back our most consistent hitter from last year in Didi Gregorius. We signed back another consistent guy, minus the injury part at the end of last season, JT Real Muto. Bryce Harper's got to put a little bit more out of the ballpark, but I think he was fine last year. He was killing it with RBIs and doubles and runners in scoring position, as he always does. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I guess the Phillies need to answer the question at center field right now, and I think the free agents on the market are going to be. I don't know who they could pick up. I guess it could be Jackie Bradley Jr. I know that was in an article by our guy Drew Smith on the libertyline.com.
You say Jackie Bradley Jr. is available?
Yeah, Jackie Bradley Jr. Yeah, he's a free agent. I know that would just be absolutely awesome for the Phillies. I think it would be fantastic.
Jackie Bradley Jr. is he's a Gamecock.
He is apparently, yeah.
Go Cox, baby. Go Cox.
That's it. That's it.
The basketball school now, but that's the way it goes.
My high school coach is a Boston Red Sox fan, and his favorite player was always Jackie Bradley Jr. when he was playing with the Red Sox. He'd be the pure hustle out of him, and I think that would play perfectly here in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah. We love a hustler. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's case in point. I mean, we love Dario, and look at where he is now. And Jackie Bradley Jr. is a proven commodity in the MLB. Like, he's a proven player. Dario was just a guy that was just some Croatian guy running around slapping basketballs across the court. And we're like, we love this guy. We don't want to trade him at all.
I thought he was Serbian or some stuff.
No, he's Croatian. Pardon this tangent real quick, but there was a Serbian player by the name, or either Serbian or Slovenian, and his name is Nemanja Bjelica, and he was originally going to be traded from the Minnesota Timberwolves to the Sixers when Dario originally came over from Europe, and he refused because Dario is Croatian, and he didn't want to play with a Croatian.
That's nuts.
I know, right?
What? That's crazy.
Like, is that not insane?
Yeah, that's messed up, man.
Off the Phillies point, but I just think that's so ridiculous. I just think that's a ridiculous story.
Ryan, as long as we're talking about the Phillies, I can't believe we haven't brought up his name yet. Alec Boehm playing third base for the Phillies this year.
Yeah, good eye in the chat.
How excited are you for Alec Boehm right now? I'm ecstatic.
I mean, I'm a certified card-carrying charter chapter member of the Boehm squad. I mean, it's just it's easy money. He's hitting nukes all season. I don't know how many, but plenty.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about Alec Boehm?
I think that last year was just a great demonstration of what he could do. I mean, obviously it was a shortened season, but there were questions about his defensive ability on the field, and he obviously proved us wrong there. I mean, are there things to be worked on? Yes. But I think that his stick was absurd, and I'm really upset that he didn't win Rookie of the Year, because I think he should have, even though he was up for a short amount of time. I think that the sky's the limit for this kid, man. I think he can move up. He can move up in the middle of the lineup by mid-season or even earlier. If somebody's not performing up there in the middle of the lineup, which I probably would guess it would be Rhys Hoskins to be moved down for Alec Boehm. But at the same time, maybe we could have a guy like Alec Boehm stay in the bottom of our lineup, like a Carlos Ruiz, you know?
Oh, yes.
About that. Carlos Ruiz during the playoffs was hot as a rocket, and he people were clamoring for him to get up in the lineup, and Charlie Manuel was like, "Nah, I'm going to keep him down in the lineup. You know, just keep a consistent hitter down there," which is maybe what Alec Boehm could be. But I would love to have Alec Boehm up in the heart of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, definitely right now, he's still a young player. I mean, he's still, I mean, not getting acclimated to the league, but he's still, got to earn his stripes a little bit. So I get having him down low in the order right now, because, I mean, the kid can hit. I mean, he can put a bat on a baseball like nobody else. I just called him a kid. He's a year older than me. I'm an idiot. It's dumb. But Boehm is, he's a quality hitter, and there's so much bat talent now, especially now that we have Didi back. I love Didi. The dude has hit so many homers, and not a single one has been opposite field. He's never hit an opposite field home run. He is always yanking them. It's just, it's so.
That's your favorite. Of course,
Bryce Harper and these guys. Yeah, dude, it's my favorite stat. He just screw Oppo Taco. I don't need it.
Dude, I love a good Oppo Taco home run. Come on,
get out of here.
Dude, it's fantastic. It's none. I've never ever hit an Oppo Taco home run in my entire life. I've only ever pulled them
once in Wii baseball. It was pretty gas.
Did you really? Oh, yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. I'm talking about real baseball. I'm talking about real baseball right now. You're talking about Wii
baseball. But no.
You suck.
Dude,
what do you mean? I'm talking about real baseball, and you're talking about Wii Sports.
You're talking about Oppo Taco. I'm talking about one time I went Oppo Taco. It doesn't matter the circumstances in which I went Oppo Taco. That's neither here nor there. Doesn't matter.
All right. Whatever. That's pretty much that's all I got for the Phillies, my man.
That's all you got for the Phils right now?
Yeah, I'm excited for the season.
Yeah,
That's really all I can say.
I'm super gassed. I'm
Mhm.
thrilled with the situation. And I'm ready to talk a little. This is rare for the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. This is but I figured for our first night on the Liberty Line Podcast Network, we should talk a little bit of Flyers. Of course, we're gonna leave
Oh.
the real deal Flyers talk to our friends over at the Liberty Yell. But we'll try our hand and just kind of give our reactions. I mean,
Mhm.
you watch both games against the Islanders.
Yeah.
Another 2 overtime wins. That's our last 5 wins against the Islanders, dating back to the second round, situation where we lost to them in 7 games. That is 5 straight overtime wins against the Islanders. We had 2 this weekend. I think that's a little bit absurd. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a contract that the NHL has with us that we have to go to overtime against them. It doesn't make sense. Do you see anything going on with those games? It's just ridiculous.
With the Flyers, there's something to talk about every single time. I mean, you look at how they played against the Islanders in the playoffs last year. They looked dead. They looked dead in the water. The Islanders were skating all over them. And you know what? For the first half or the first 2 periods of those 2 games against the Islanders, it was the same story all over again.
Mm-hmm.
But the Flyers hung tough because they're a talented group, and Vigneault is obviously absurd as a coach. I mean, you wrote a fantastic article on Alain Vigneault. He's the button pusher, and you know what? I think that the first line has got to start getting it done a little bit more. I mean, obviously he benched Vigneault benched Konechny in that first game against the Islanders just because that's what needed to happen. He needed a kick in the ass, and that's what he got.
Dude, that's AV, baby. AV is. We see it in the chat here. Someone saying AV has this team firing on all cylinders, and that's 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving what I'm seeing out of the Flyers. Maybe not all the time. Of course, I wish we could shoot the puck a little more.
Oh my gosh!
I just don't see how we get. I just don't see how we get outshot every game. I mean, just hit it. Just hit the puck in the net. I'm not an expert hockey analyst.
Yeah.
I've never played the game. I'm not out here trying to act like I know more than I know. But I just feel like the more you hit the puck at the net, odds are it's going to go in at some point. But luckily, we have great goaltending on the back end. Of course, with Brian, Moose, Elliott, and Carter Hart's been a little shaky at times, to be sure, but I think he's gotten back on track. Everybody, of course, goaltending is a super mental position. I mean, you're sitting there taking 100-mile pucks to the dome on like a bi-nightly basis. It's just that's just kind of the way it goes. But I think he's got it figured out. And Moose has just been
he's been awesome. He's been great. I mean, he stepped up when he needed to. He's obviously knows he's playing the backup role right now as the goaltender. I mean, Carter Hart is our young up and coming stud. Hasn't totally been a stud thus far this year. So Brian Elliott is coming in with some veteran experience, and he's stopping pucks. And that's exactly what this team needed so far. I mean, they needed a guy consistent enough to get them that win. I mean, he had a shutout in the first game. Is that correct? He had a shutout in his first start of the season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who it was against. It wasn't the Islander, but in his first start, he had a shutout against whoever it was, which is phenomenal. I mean, we're looking at the best. We're looking at the best goaltending what's it called, duo in the NHL right now.
Duo in the NHL. I mean, not that there are a lot of goaltending duos. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, but of course, especially with this condensed schedule and the back-to-backs and everything, teams might be rotating goalies more than usual. I mean, of course, there's always a little bit of rotations, just to give guys some rest because they are on the ice all 60 minutes making plays. So, but we definitely have the best, tandem in the league between Katahat and Moose. I just think, as we continue to go, they're going to be because, of course, goaltending is everything with hockey. 100%. So.
And I can't believe we
got
have
everybody firing. The vets are playing well. Giroux has actually been making an impact. JVR has been like a little bit absurd with the putting pucks in net on frame. Is just kind of is kind of ridiculous. And of
Yeah.
course, I don't know how we've gone this long without talking about Joel Farabee with a little
That's exactly what I was
hattie,
going to say.
with a little hattie against the Isles.
Mm-hmm.
Last
Yeah, I
night.
mean, I think he's younger than I am. I'm 21. I think he's 20. He's
Shut
younger
the
than I
hell
am.
up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that
that's what he is.
makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does. It's a little weird, but he's killing it. I mean, he's probably been one of our most consistent offensive players this year. And Kevin Hayes finally showed up last game with with the overtime goal. That was an absolutely phenomenal goal. He was patient. It was just great. But yeah, I'm seeing in the chat here Nolan Patrick. He's also been playing very, very well, coming off a really crappy injury season last year. So
took a bit of a dirty hit last night. Took a little bit of it was a little ridiculous, a little borderline to say the least.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But here's the thing: like, we're winning games still, and we don't even have arguably our best player in Sean Couturier. We haven't had Coots for a minute right now. True. And like, one thing about the Flyers is, I mean, this is just my observation. I like hockey. I'm not in the world of the NHL like some guys at the Liberty Line are, but I try to learn as much as I can. When I look at this Flyers team, especially without Coots on the ice, I just don't see us having a true superstar. Like, we've got a lot of really good players that can occasionally play like a superstar, that can occasionally rise, but we don't have an animal. Like, maybe, of course, I mean, I'm saying we don't have an Ovechkin. Nobody has an Ovechkin other than
nobody
the Caps.
does, yeah.
But we just don't have superstars. We have a lot of good players, and as I'm seeing in the chat, we have a team, and that's super important, especially in a sport where your best players are only on the ice for 20 minutes. That's why we've been able to sustain success without Couturier. We've just been playing as a team, and Alain Vigneault I think can be overlooked in, just when you look at the coaches in Philly. I think he can get overlooked a lot. Obviously, some people have certain anti-hockey biases, like maybe us sometimes, but that's just kind of the way it goes. But I do think that he is in contention for, the top coach in Philly spot right now. Right. Of course, I'm leaning towards Doc. Towards Doc, but I see a lot of Doc Rivers in AV. So
I see. Yeah, obviously we have a new coach for the Philadelphia Eagles this year, which I guess is the perfect segue into talking about the Eagles.
Just like I drew it up.
Yeah, just like we drew it up. It's right here in the note sheet, man. Come on. But I think you're totally right. Alain Vigneault is probably the best coach, along with Doc Rivers. So yeah, let's talk some Eagles. Let's talk some Nick Sirriani. Apparently, he had a little bit better of a showing the second time around on the WIP morning show. People were not happy with his first press conference. Let me tell you. Obviously he seemed nervous, but here's the thing. Let's lay off the guy for a sec, because one, he's never been a head coach. Two, he's never even been an offensive coordinator. He was a quarterback's. Was he offensive coordinator or was he quarterback's coach for the Colts?
He was offensive coordinator, but he never called plays.
Okay, so he's never called plays, right? I knew there was something there. Yeah. And he's coming into one of the biggest football markets in the country, the Philadelphia Eagles, with one of the toughest fan bases in the country. Who wouldn't be crapping their pants up at that podium? Are you kidding me? This is the first time he's ever done a press conference, probably. Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why people don't understand. I don't get why people aren't on board with Nick Sirianni right now, in terms of, or at least why people are not on board with Nick Sirianni right now, because he hasn't done anything wrong. And so I guess he had a better showing on the second time around on the morning show at WIP today. So I was interested to hear your thoughts.
Like, here's the thing, Nick Sirianni, that whole thing was so overblown. And before I get into it, we have a question in the chat just about how people can follow us, interact with us on social media. My Twitter handle is at Ryan Conway 76. I feel you can spell that. It's good.
Yeah. my Twitter handle is at Sam Glavin 06. So I think that's pretty easy. It's GLAVIN. So yeah, definitely follow us. You can get some sports updates and takes, and definitely you'll get when the Wolves of Broad Street podcast drops on the all the apps and stuff, all the Apple Podcasts and Spotify and whatnot. And hopefully we'll be going live a couple more times if the Liberty Line guys like us enough.
I would hope so. I would hope so. I mean, the motto of the Wolves of Broad Street is come for the takes, stay for the banter. So back to the banter, or maybe a take, who knows? Nick Sirriani, I think that whole reaction to his press conference was the definition of bogus cheese. Like, it's just a starved corporate Philadelphia media just hungry for clicks. It was total BS. And I watched it and I was earlier in the episode, I mean, this is our first time live streaming the full episode. We were stuttering a little bit. No one's in here. No one's in the comments. These guys absolutely blow. But Sirianni's a good guy. He's a good football mind. He's never called plays, but neither did Doug. Neither did Andy Reid when he came to Philly. So not that I'm saying he's either one of those guys, but that's just, it's not a weird thing to do to sign someone that, to be head coach that has not called plays. So I have no real issues with the hire. I mean, is it a little weird that no one wanted to come here? Maybe a little bit, but that's just because of Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie being, the two best friends that anybody could have. Like, they're the two-man wolf pack, and like everyone else is like, and like Howie lays awake at night looking at like the poster of Carson over his bed. It's the last thing he sees before he goes to sleep.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, Howie, we were seeing in the chat again right now. This guy's totally on point. Howie is totally the problem. And Howie and Jeffrey hired a guy that would listen to them, a first-time head coach, and somebody who doesn't have really the power to go back on anything that they say right now. And I think that it's just, would I have liked to see somebody with a little bit more experience, maybe a guy like Deuce Staley, a leader of men? Yeah, I would have liked to see that. But I'm not totally I'm not totally upset with the Nick Sirianni hire. All of the coaching hires that they've had thus far this season points to them they're going to try and fix Carson Wentz. I really do think that. I mean, you look at the guy, you hire the quarterback coach out of Florida who's just coming off of a Heisman quarterback season. He was a Heisman finalist, and Kyle Trask out of Florida. You'd look at the another guy, obviously Nick Sirianni himself. He's a Frank Reich protege. Excuse me. Holy. And yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't want to fix your big franchise quarterback that you're paying all this money. So that's how I'm seeing the coaching hire so far.
Yeah, I definitely get like wanting to roll with Carson Wentz. I mean, you're paying the guy a shitload of money. I mean, it's $30 million a year. Like, that's a massive investment in a guy that's started to regress. So you want to be able to fix that. You just, and also just what Carson Wentz, a lot of people hate on Carson Wentz. And I think part of that is just people being ungrateful. People not just a lot of either ungrateful or dumb. Like, it's one or the other, because Carson Wentz is not a bad guy. He gets a bad rap. I mean, one of the founders of the Liberty Line, Victor Williams, tweeted today that nobody gets ripped harder for saying absolutely nothing than Carson Wentz.
Right?
Carson has met with Nick Sirianni personally. He's keeping his head down and he's getting to work. And people are like, Carson never said hi to Nick Sirianni. Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh. What is up with that? Who cares what he says on Twitter? Are you kidding me? He's got so many other things on his plate right now. He's got the media up his ass right now about having Jalen Hurts is like right behind him, and there's going to be a quarterback competition, and he was terrible last year. Yeah, he was terrible last year. Yeah. People are allowed to have bad seasons. I mean,
so many quality players have had one bad year.
Yeah,
even a horrendous year like Carson had. Carson's year this year was horrendous. I think this is it's not a prediction. It's more just a speculation as to what he's up to right now. I think after last year, he goes, I'm not reading Twitter. I'm not reading Facebook. I'm not reading, anything other than two things: the playbook and the Bible. Those are the two things I'm focusing on, and that's all there is to it. And I think Carson is going to come back, especially if he's able to develop a nice relationship with Sirianni. And also I think Sirianni is going to push Carson maybe a little more than Doug did.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think
less of a rah guy.
I think it's good to have a young mind in there again. I mean, he's going to be able to try out some new things. I mean, like he said, he wants to get – Nick Sirriani has already come out and said this. He said he wants to get the ball into his fast guy's hands, into his playmakers' hands. And obviously we have a guy in Jalen Reagor who Carson apparently just refused to throw the ball to his entire time he was there. Granted, Jalen Reagor was hurt, but as soon as Jalen Hurts stepped onto the field, Jalen Reagor's starting to catch the ball, and he's starting to make some plays happen here and there. So I think getting Carson in there and getting the right guys involved under Nick Sirianni is just gonna pay dividends. Hopefully, I mean, I'm obviously being cautiously optimistic right now, but I think he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I would say so too. Do you have anything else on the Birds, or do we want to move into the Hallmark?
I really don't. We could go. Actually, there's one more thing. We hired a new defensive backs coach, and his name escapes me right now. So if somebody wants to drop that in the chat real quick, so we don't look like complete idiots. So we don't look like complete idiots.
I'm reserving judgment.
But we hired a new defensive backs coach today. I watched the video on him, and he was very active, and he looked great. I think he's out of Rutgers. He looks fine. I watched like a 2-minute video on him today. So I think we have most of our coaching figured out at this point. I'm not sure about special teams, but we've retained Jeff Stoutland. We've got an offensive coordinator. We got that guy from the Chargers. We've got a defensive coordinator and Jonathan Gannon, the former defensive backs coach for the Colts, because we are now the Philadelphia Colts for some reason. And what else do we have? Obviously, we hired a head coach. So
good stuff.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I think we can move on to the Hallmark segment of the show and the Philly Five, Ryan.
Yes, of course. And what do we have for the Philly Five on this debut episode on the Liberty Line podcast?
We have for our debut for the Philly Five. In case anybody doesn't know, the Philly Five is just a list of a top 5 list of something of a category. It doesn't have to do with sports, doesn't just pop culture, whatever it is that we can think of. For today, we're gonna go with top 5 beers.
That's
beers, right.
Yes.
Top five beers other than Coors Banquet, because Coors Banquet is both of our favorite beers. And it's our pretty much sponsor. I guess we could it's not a sponsor.
It's not a sponsor, but it might as well be. I owe them a lot. So
yes. Brian, go ahead and kick us off with your
absolutely. Are we going just down the line?
Yeah, we could go down the line.
Yeah. Let's go down the line. So of course in no particular order, because we're not fucking scientists. Can't put things in order. That's ridiculous. So I'm going to open up with Great Lakes Brewing Company, their Christmas ale. It's high quality, probably long lost relative, brewed by Pat and Dan Conway out in Cleveland. Quality dark beer, perfect for the holidays, great for winter time. Up next, I'm going with a local brew out of Philadelphia. I'm going with Kenwood Lights, also just known as Kenny's. I mean, I saw them on Twitter circulating around just from Philly guys I follow in the area, and I picked up a couple cases over the weekend. I have to say it is damn good, and almost tastes like a Coors Banquet light. Please sponsor us, Kenwood. That would be fire. That would be gas.
Yeah, that would be so sick. Is that it? Is that your list?
No. That was my second beer.
Oh, that was your second one? Sorry. I lost
3 more beers, Sam.
I lost track.
Yeah, Jack Ash. All right. Up next, I have from La Cabra Brewing in Berwyn, Pennsylvania, just outside the city. Hipster Catnip. Actually, my advisor from high school is like head of science stuff going on over there. So that's pretty damn cool. And the beer is good as hell. Up next, the classic Czech beer, Kozel Dark. It's just something you can drink all night and wake up feeling A-okay the next day. And then finally, my haymaker is a Miller Lite on draft.
There it is.
Nothing else has to be said.
That's what I was looking for. I was waiting for it. Here we go. I'm going to go with, obviously in no particular order, I'm going to go with the Whackers Brewing Pilsner. And that brewing company is out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I love a little bit of a local taste. The next one is also somewhat local. It's in Pennsylvania. It's the New Trail New England Hazy IPA. They're out of Williamsport, the New Trail Brewing Company. Number 3, I'm going to go with a Miller Lite on draft, obviously. So Ryan, by the way, Ryan and I make our lists ourselves, and these are live reactions.
We don't
respective
share
lists. Yeah. So the next on my list, number 4 is going to be the Nice Schoof, the Belgian Christmas beer. It's fantastic. It's special for me around the holidays with my dad, who's watching right now, and he's clamoring for his own home brews to be on my list. Unfortunately, they're not. I know I didn't put any on. I felt like I'd be too biased.
You're dirty. You're a dirty
kid. Because I couldn't put my own Pilsner on there. So if I didn't put my own Pilsner on there that he helped me brew, I couldn't put any of his on there. Yeah, I couldn't put it on there, man. I thought about it. I thought about putting my own homebrewed Pilsner on there, but I couldn't do it. But to round it off, I'm going to go with the Loyal Lager from Yards, the Philadelphia Brewing Company. Or the Yards is a brewing company in Philadelphia. The Loyal Lager, I just love a good lager, and it's very crisp. It's really good. And that's it. That's what I remember the last time we did this, I left something off the list and I was really upset about it, but I think I got a good list this time.
You got, yeah. That's a solid list. I'm happy with the list. I mean, the Miller Lite on draft is really, there's nothing that needs to be said further than that. That's going to do it for the Philly 5, the Hallmark segment here at the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. Ladies and gents, Philly fans everywhere, thank you so much for tuning in to this first live streamed episode of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast on the Liberty Line Podcast Network. As always, I've been Ryan Conway, joined by my co-host Sam Glavin. Follow us on Instagram at Wolves of Broad Street. Follow us on Twitter at Wolves of Broad Street. Follow me on Twitter, Ryan Conway 76. Follow Sam on Twitter, Sam Glavin 06. I mean, the names they're right there. They're easy to find. Check out Wide Plank Floor Supply. Anything else you need to add, Sam?
No, just a big shout out to Alex Conway, your sister, for killing it on the social media front.
I love that I never shout her out.
I know, it's always me. It's always me.
You.
And, big shout out to the Liberty Line for hosting us on this live show. Big shout out to our producer Seamus G, still pulling the strings from behind the glass. And definitely follow me on Twitter at SamGlavin06. Check out the Liberty Line website. We both posted 2 articles at this point. Seamus G, close us down.